Greetings, good people, beautiful people. Welcome to Kalami Royalty, the podcast. I am your host, Mihle Chiba. Finally, here's a mental health awareness podcast that is going to change lives in our townships for good. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to season 1, episode 1 of this show. Listen, I am so excited about this podcast because I know that this is going to be a well-spoken about podcast in town. Making learning about mental health fun. On this podcast, I aim at breaking the stigma and discrimination on mental health issues in our small Black communities in South Africa. I am on a mission here, okay, good people? My mission on this podcast is to improve the country's understanding of mental health by having open conversations about mental health and mental illnesses in our small Black communities. On this episode 1, I will be talking about what mental health is and why is there still a stigma and discrimination on mental health in our society. It is so unbelievable that siphila kwixesha where mental health is still stigmatized, especially in small communities like Ekasi. Many of us think or believe that only at a certain stage in life one can be mentally unstable, but especially I think young people don't think they can suffer from depression, anxiety, bipolar, and other mental illnesses. I think we are aware of mental illnesses like depression, but I feel like we are not pretty sure what depression is. The stigma is not only on mental health, but there's a stigma on psychiatry as well. Psychiatry is the study and treatment of mental illness, emotional disturbance, and abnormal behavior. So in psychiatry, there are psychiatrists, and psychiatrists are mental doctors. Okay, don't worry, I got you. We are all here to learn. Okay, good. So in relation to the causes of psychiatric stigma, beliefs and traditional explanatory model of mental illness play an important role in perpetuating stigma and discrimination. It's an example about beliefs. There is a belief that people with mental illnesses are pretending to be ill or are ill because they are weak. This is common with communities. There are also traditional beliefs that people with mental illness must have been bewitched. Sithi abantu with abnormal behavior bathakathiwe. And these beliefs impact negatively on people with mental illnesses through social isolation, neglect and maltreatment, delayed medical help seeking. And these experiences can further deepen a person's mental illness through the development of depressive symptoms and low self-esteem. Just to be clear, I have nothing against traditional beliefs. People have the right to choose where to seek help, and I respect that. Okay. First of all, I want to say I too was one of those young people who were ignorant about mental health because I just never saw the need to take care of my mental health. So I had to do some research on mental health. And this was right after I was diagnosed with multiple mental illnesses. Ngabona lapho ukuthi kubalulekile to take care of your mental health. And so like I said, I only got interested in mental health right after my diagnosis. And since then, man, I never looked back. And that's why I started the podcast. And so I can bring the information and knowledge to my people. So to those, I want to share a story to those who are from the same township as I. I'm from Ekagiso, the West Rand. The township is called Kagiso. There used to be a guy, Besimbiza Ndoma. He painted his face and dyed his hair, and he used to wear really big shoes that made some weird sounds. So as kids, we used to follow behind him and shout out his name, Duma, Duma, Duma. That was fun for us. And some kids were afraid of him, but others like me, we made fun of him every time he passed by. And our parents, maybe not, they didn't reprimand us of our behavior towards unduma. Matter of fact, they would say or tell us that uyahlanya unduma. That's why he paints his face and talks alone. So terms like a person uyahlanya, a person is crazy, we use to define a behavior we don't understand. You could find that unduma is suffering from a mental illness and needs psychiatric help, but I don't see him anymore. But to those who still see him, let his behavior be a concern to you and whom he is around. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. Now imagine what Nduma's behavior does to a child with poor mental health and can't handle the stress that comes from fear. Now that child has anxiety. And that's why you find why some kids are scared of clowns. So to a point where they can't stand going to a circus. Tina sijabulile to be mocking Nduma. Some child endling is frustrated and anxious. So you see how mental health or illness hide. We are not aware of how everything we do or say affects a person's mental well-being. So to my listeners, I know most of you believe that mental health has to do with being mentally unstable, but that's not what mental health is. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects indlela esicinga ngayo, indlela esifila ngayo, and indlela that we act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. I mentioned Uguti mental health is important from childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. This means that anyone can suffer from a mental illness and at any stage of life. Children can be diagnosed with a mental illness, same as adults. And so I think I tried making it simple, ukuthi yini mental health. So let me just put it in short. So mental health is includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. That's it. Okay. And then we have mental illnesses. Mental illnesses, how can I put this? I'm trying to make it as simple as I can. Mental illnesses are more like conditions that affect a person's thinking, feeling, mood, or behavior, such as depression, anxiety, bipolar. Those are mental illnesses. Such conditions may be occasional or long-lasting, meaning they could be chronic and affect someone's ability to relate to others and function each day. So if your thoughts, feelings, mood, or behavior restricts you from functioning each day or relate to others, then you might be suffering from a mental illness. But mental health is important from childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. I hope I'm making it. I hope it's clear. I remember. Okay, I think I want to share another story. I remember growing up, and my anxiety was off the roof, and it prevented me from living a normal teenage life and socialize with my peers. I knew something was wrong with me, but I did not pay too much attention to it. To think when my fear of the unknown caged me, that's when it became a concern to me. I mean, you name it, I was afraid of it all. At 16, I was still afraid of anything that crawls, anything that's hairy, anything that moved. I was even afraid of my own shadow. That's how bad it was, okay? To a point where I'd become jumpy at times, and I'd sweat. My legs would lock. I wouldn't be able to walk, and that's how bad it was. I remember, I think this was in 10th grade. I Googled my symptoms and found out it was anxiety. But because back then it was described as insanity and mentally unstable. I kept the information to myself. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm ready to be mentally unstable. And I just couldn't. I just, like, I don't know how to say this, but I just kept the information to myself. I didn't want to be bullied, one, and just imagine my peers finding out Uguti I can't walk every time it's lunchtime and I have to be around a crowded tuck shop. So they were definitely going to bully me. Every time Makshai lunch, they were gonna come and force me to get up and just cause a scene for me, and actually traumatize me in a way. So I had to create a persona to hide my fears, like being Papa at lesson. I talked a lot. I was funny. I did everything. I was just that crazy kid. I did everything to make sure that people did not pay attention to my anxiety. I was also goofy. I mean, I liked the kid I was, but there's a reason why I was like that. And I was that kid in class. That was my distraction when anxiety hit my legs and making me sweat. So no one would pay attention to what was really happening to me. So at school, I just hated being at the assembly and being at the tuck shop. I'd arrive late for assembly and go for lunch earlier or later than other students. That's how bad I had it at school. Um, and I don't think a lot of people who went to school with me paid too much attention to it. They thought I was just like some weird kid in J. And there was a lot going on. Okay. So yeah, I didn't tell anyone about my anxiety. I think till I was like 25. And this is like last year in 2022. Ah, man, we in 2022. I mean, 2021. Oh gosh, I forgot. So yeah. Okay, so let me try and help you relate to mental health. You know that feeling, sorry, you know that feeling that scares you or thoughts ezenza impilo yakho ibe nzima. Sometimes it feels like no one in the world has those thoughts or feelings. Nobody knows how difficult it is for you to deal with those feelings, and akukho lula to share your deepest secrets with your family or friends, to a point where you feel like something is wrong ngawe. You worry what other people would think if you spoke about your feelings that scare or make your life difficult. And all of that can actually make your feelings and thoughts worse. Truth is, we all have those thoughts and feelings that scare us. It's perfectly normal to feel otherwise, and it should be normal to express ourselves. I feel like kakulu in our Black communities, we are okay ngothetha about AIDS, cancer, rape, or even violence, but we don't want to deal with the mental, and that's an issue. Culture too has created this environment of shame. Until the 1960s, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, society sent away people who had trouble managing their thoughts, emotions, and behavior. But over time, yes, we learned how not to be afraid. We learned to help those with mental health issues get better. We became hopeful, but there is still a stigma on mental health on this day and age. And some people don't feel comfortable ukuthetha about mental health in our society. The stigma has taken new forms too. We have access to more people all the time. Social media being a way we now communicate with people from around the world. Let me make another example about Instagram. Instagram has made us thrive for perfection. to want a glamorous life and make it seem like there's something wrong with your life or thoughts or feelings.